Hey, what's up guys, I'm back in the video, and today I'm going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard to the Los Angeles Lakers, and why I think he's going to go there, because I personally, at first, did not think Kawhi was going to leave the Spurs. I really did not think he was going to leave, because Danny Green said that he told him that he wanted to stay and all that, but there have been reports that he is demanding a trade, and they're coming from, like, Adrian Wojnarowski, however you say his name. Like, he's a very, very solid source, and is usually correct when he reports on things, so I'm pretty sure that he is going to leave. The only problem is the Spurs do not have to trade him, but he's kind of forcing their hand, and they're probably going to end up trading them before the trade deadline. And I'm going to be going into reasons why I think he's going to go to the Lakers, why it makes sense for Kawhi to want to go there, why it makes sense for the Lakers to trade for him, and why it makes sense for the Spurs to trade him as well. So, because obviously it needs to make sense for all three of them to even want to go there, but it's really only going to have to make sense for the Lakers and Spurs. Kawhi doesn't have a no trade clause, so it's going to be kind of hard for him to say where he wants to go, but still, like, I'm going to just get into why it would make sense for Kawhi to want to go there as well. So without further ado, without me rimming on too much, let's get right into this video. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to get into is why it makes sense for Kawhi Leonard, and the reason I think it makes sense for Kawhi Leonard is going to be that it would be the big market that he wants to play for. Los Angeles Lakers are probably the most famous NBA team in the league, and definitely one of the best teams in history, so I think that is a big market that he is going to be looking for, because he obviously wants endorsement deals, shoe deals. He wants to be able to be a bigger star than he already is, which I'm surprised about, because a lot of people say he's quiet, kind of kept to himself, so I'm surprised he wants to be a bigger star. But I mean, he has came out and said he wants to play for a big market, and yes, San Antonio's good, but they're just kind of quiet, not that big of a market. But if you go to the Lakers and have success and everything, then you are going to be in a enormous market, be a star, more people will know about you, you won't be in anyone's shadow, and you will just be an all-around bigger star of a player. But now my second reason that it would make sense for him is because he could still compete for championships. Obviously being a star is great, but a big reason for a lot of star players to go to certain spots or to compete for championships. And with the Spurs, how they are right now, they can't win a championship just because they're in the West, and how good the West actually is, there's just no chance for them to get past the Golden State Warriors or the Houston Rockets and teams like that. So if he went to the Lakers, he would still be able to compete for championships, because obviously just Kawhi with the Lakers, that's not as good of a team as they have, as the Spurs currently are. But then you look at what they can probably do, and that will be sign someone like LeBron James or Paul George, if not both. And the reason it would make sense for them to go there now is because LeBron is also trying to get rings to chase Michael Jordan and become the best player ever. So LeBron is almost guaranteed to go to the Lakers now, because the Spurs were one of the biggest destinations on his list. But if Kawhi leaves and goes to the Lakers, not only are the Lakers now a huge destination, it was already a really big chance that he's going to go there, but if Kawhi goes there, it makes it is probably pretty much a guarantee LeBron goes there, and there's no chance he goes to the Spurs now. So now there's one less team on the list, and one team that was already on the list is a way bigger chance, and Kawhi knows that, and now he gets to pair up with LeBron, and then Paul George is going to see that and like, well, hell, I can win a championship over there now, and he's going to go there as well. So I really do think that they would do that. And I mean, also my third and final reason why it makes sense for Kawhi Leonard is that he could get revenge on the Golden State Warriors, as the Warriors are pretty much the entire reason all this is even happening, as they are the reason that he has missed all of this season and all the last playoffs, is because of, well, Zaza Pachulia, who decided to stick his foot under Kawhi and messed up his hip or ankle or whatever it was, made him miss the entire year, all but 9 games, and I'm sure Kawhi Leonard isn't too happy about that and would love to get back at the Warriors. And if he was able to pair up with Paul George and LeBron James, I really do think that team would be able to beat the Golden State Warriors if they're able to add a few more veteran pieces and all that. And another big thing would be if they're able to sign a few like more veterans, because they're going to have to give up a little bit to get Kawhi, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But now I'm going to get into why it makes sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. And what I mean by that is like why the Lakers would even want to trade for him. Well, this was a lot easier to make than what makes sense for the Spurs. The Spurs were kind of hard to find reasons for. The Lakers are going to be easy to find reasons for, and that's why I was able to find 3 pretty easily. So my first reason is going to be that they have enough young talent to trade for Kawhi. A lot of teams, they don't have the young talent or the cap space to really trade for Kawhi or give the Spurs a realistic trade deal that they're going to get rid of Kawhi, because they don't have to get rid of Kawhi yet. They have him under contract until 2020. So I mean, they they don't need to get rid of him anytime. They're going to wait for the best deal, and that's what they're going to get. Is the best deal for Kawhi. That's the one they're going to pull the trigger on, and especially if it's not in the West. They don't like to help teams in the West, but I mean, if the Lakers can offer a pretty damn good deal, and I think the Spurs would definitely at least have to consider it, and they will probably end up pulling the trigger on that. But my second reason why it makes sense for the Lakers is because Kawhi is still under contract till 2020, like I just said, which means they won't have to offer him his max contract until 2020, which means they'll still have enough cap space to sign the two stars that they need, for example, LeBron James and Paul George. I mean, you can now have a big three. At first, your best case scenario was LeBron and Paul George, but now your best case scenario, Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul. That is unbelievably a great team. And your worst case scenario is Kawhi and DeMarcus Cousins. That is a very good worst case scenario. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins isn't even being considered, and he's a worst case scenario player, and he's a top 3 center in the league. So I mean, they're in a very good situation right now, especially if they are able to get Kawhi. And now my third and final reason why it makes sense for the Lakers, they can get rid of Luol Deng's awful contract, which will then free up even more cap space that they already have. Luol Deng is probably on one of the worst contracts in the league. I mean, he's making like $17 million a year, and that for what he does, which is pretty much nothing but sit on the bench, well, that is way too much money. He's getting paid way too much. So if they're able to get rid of Luol Deng's contract, that will be a very good one. But I'm gonna get into this very soon. They're going to have to take on another bad contract in order to get Kawhi. But I mean, it's not as bad as Luol Deng's because the player that they'd be getting is actually like usable. But now, like I said, pretty much, I'm going to get into why it makes sense for the Spurs now. And what I mean by that is that they could kick off their rebuild. This is my first reason for the Spurs. Their rebuild would be kicked off so much faster if they traded with a team like the Lakers. I just think they could make a great trade for him. Look, this is the trade that they would have to do. Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Luol Deng, and maybe a draft pick. They don't have many good draft picks, so I don't know if they're going to throw one. And maybe a first-round pick of some sort for Kawhi Leonard and Paul Gasol. Now, this trade actually works on the trade machine on NBA.com, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Because, look, the Spurs are now getting two great young players. I mean, excellent young players. Kyle Kuzma has shown signs of greatness this year. I think in any other year but this year, he would have been the Rookie of the Year. But the rookies were so good this year, I mean, he couldn't really compete with that. But he's going to be a very good player, probably an all-star level player one day. Brandon Ingram had one of his best years yet. He's showing signs of development. He's getting stronger. He's lifting weights. And I really think in a couple of years, he's also going to turn into an all-star level player. I really think Brandon Ingram's going to be that, maybe not a franchise player, but like a Paul George type player in a few years. And then obviously Luol Deng, they just have to get rid of him to make the trade work. And but then you look at what the Lakers are getting, Kawhi and Paul Gasol. So yeah, you get rid of Kawhi, but you're also getting rid of a bad contract on Paul Gasol. Paul Gasol had his worst year of his career, and he's still making like $16 million a year. So I mean, if you're pretty much exchanging contracts, and Paul Gasol is pretty much the same as Luol Deng, especially for the Spurs. I mean, next year he'll probably be completely out of his prime, and he'll probably retire once his contract is up, Paul Gasol. So I mean, it kind of makes sense for both teams, and I think that the Lakers would be fine with getting Kawhi, and the Spurs would be more than happy to get Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma. So I think it would work out for both teams, and that the Spurs would ultimately actually be able to make a tie for that. And I mean, usually when you lose a superstar type player like Kawhi, you can't usually win the trade, or at least get like equal value. But I think in a few years, this trade will end up being equal value for them, depending how that pick turns out and if they can develop like they can. And I do think they would be able to develop like they can, because Greg Popovich has shown that he can take decent players and turn them into good players. Because I mean, and Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma, they're already good players. So I think Popovich's coaching can definitely excel them, or like propel them to end up being superstar players. Maybe not superstar, but all-star level players, which would be huge for the Spurs. And I mean, whoever they get with the pick, if they do get a pick, I think they might be able to get something good out of that. You never know how that's going to turn out. And my second final reason for the Spurs is going to be that they still have a base to build their team on. As LaMarcus Aldridge is still an all-star level player. I think he had second team All-NBA this year. He's still a very solid player. And plus, I mean, Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma. That would pretty much be your big three. And then you also have Devontae Murray, who showed that he is a very good defender, very good player, very solid player. And they still have all the role players in Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Rudy Gay. They have tons of role players on that team, so it's not like they're going to be a bad team. They'll probably still be a playoff contender team, if not a 7th or 6th seed in the playoffs. So I mean, it's not like they're going to be an awful bottom feeder team, even if they make this trade. And I think that's what Greg Popovich wants. At least they're still going to be competitive, and that's all you want as a NBA organization, especially if you lose someone like Kawhi Leonard. You're not going to be competing for any championships, but at least you're still going to be a competitive organization if you do make this trade. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be it for this video. So if you did like that at any point, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and comment below. Do you think Kawhi is going to go to the Lakers? What do you think they will get for Kawhi? Who do you think he will get traded to? Do you think they're even going to trade him? And I want to hear all your thoughts below. If you have any video ideas you want to see me make, comment those below, because if I like them, I will make that video right away, and I will give you credit in the video as well. So don't worry about that. And if you didn't have a blessed day, hope you have a blessed day tomorrow. Hope everyone has a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so y'all need to have a blessed day. See you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.